Welcome to the course Mental Health and Well-being, and in this module we were discussing about advanced emotional skills and boundaries, and this particular topic we will try to understand what is or how to manage emotional overwhelm and stress. In day to day life we all are facing different type of stress from morning to night or before going to bed or during the sleep. Everyone is feeling different varieties of emotional overwhelm and stress, and we know that in our life tension is very normal. Everyone is experiencing throughout the life tensions, and these tensions at a point you feel that it is a kind of a stress, it is elevating, it is overwhelming, and it can cause sometimes into distress. When distress is out of your control, it can call as a anxiety. As you know, anxiety is having different steps like moderate, mild and severe, and there is a point in which you know that there is a threshold level where you will not be able to manage that stress level, that anxiety level, that can cause into different types of different varieties of mental distress. We call depression or anxiety disorders. So, here we try to understand what are the ways in which you will be able to experience or manage this stress and how to control this emotional overwhelm. We will go in deep into this particular discussion. And what is emotional overwhelm and stress? Simple explanation can be emotional overwhelm is a state in which emotions are felt as intense and difficult to manage. The intensity of the emotions, the rapid generation of the emotions, varieties of emotions, sometimes it can be anger, it can be frustration, it can be stress, whatever, and it is not able to manage, and it can be called as emotional overwhelm. It manifests when you feel like your emotions or experiences are more than you can handle. This can lead to anxiety. You all know that we were experiencing throughout our life different varieties of situations, environment, and to the people we feel some kind of anxieties. And burnout in a situation where you feel that I am not able to manage. So, it is a kind of suffocation, you feel that I am unable to go further, I am unable to go for proceed this particular situation. So, it is a kind of burnout where you feel totally collapsed, sometimes you feel a kind of exhaustion in your mind, in your body, in your life. So, it can affect different biological conditions, even not unable to sleep, sometimes decreased appetite or increased appetite. It can cause some kind of effect in your daily functioning. You may feel fatigability, you may feel difficulties in concentration and attention. So, or even a decision paralysis, I am not able to take a proper decision, because this situation is causing me like not able to take a proper orientation, proper judgment towards my life situations, and it can be a hindering to your ability to function effectively. And what is intense emotions? Feeling emotions at a level beyond your current coping capacity. As you know that if you are having a bottle and it can contain only 1 liter of water, it will, if you are putting 2 liters or if you are putting 5 liters in that particular bottle, it can overflow, it cannot hold that much of pressure, it cannot hold that much of quantity. So, in this way we try to understand that whether your emotions beyond your capacity to hold, we call it as an intense emotions, and difficulty in managing, struggling to regulate or control emotional responses. Sometimes you may feel that the situation goes out of my hand, out of my brain. So, in that kind of situations we try to react in an unhealthy manner, which we may not be able to aware consciously or unconsciously. And the potential consequences when you are having emotional overwhelm, it can have a damage to the situations and to the consequences, leading to anxiety, burnout or difficulty in making decisions. Now, we will try to understand what are the common causes of emotional overwhelm. There are several factors which can contribute to emotional overwhelm throughout our life, or throughout our daily living, we feel stressful life events such as loss, job pressure or conflict or significant other triggers. So, try to understand what are the stressful life events, significant occurrence like loss, any kind of loss, loss of finance, loss of dear ones, loss of relationship and whatever. It can be a kind of a negative impact in our life. Job pressure, suppose you are working in a company where the demands are higher than your capability. So, you feel kind of a job pressure where you feel stressful and conflict that increase emotional strain. The second thing can be considered as unresolved emotions, suppressed or unprocessed feelings that accumulate over time leading to overload. Certain situations in which you may feel that I need to react, but at a certain extent your capacity to react that situation is very difficult based on the pressure from the society, based on the pressure from the hierarchy or pressure from the administration or pressure from the family. Due to this, some of your emotions sometimes you will be unprocessed or suppressed, that can cause into emotional overwhelm and sensory overload. As we know, excessive sensory input or responsibilities that stretch coping capacity. So, try to identify in these common causes where the most stresses are occurring in my life. That is very important to understand while going into deep, while exploring this particular topic. And here we try to understand what are the immediate strategies for emotional regulations. There are multiple strategies, but what can be done all on a sudden when you are feeling that I am emotionally overwhelmed, I am attending a meeting, I am dealing with a partner, I am dealing with my business meeting, where you feel that I need to react, which is non-adaptive or maladaptive, that situations. What are the immediate strategies for emotional regulation? When feeling emotionally overwhelmed, there are several immediate strategies to help regain control over your emotions. One thing can be deep breathing. Deep breathing means, as you know, that use diaphragmatic breathing to quickly calm the nervous system. Simply deep inhalation and exhalation, while that process itself will give you some kind of grounding, where you feel that the outer through the five senses, from the outer nature you are getting a cool air into your abdomen, and you will be able to hold it and you will be able to experience it. While exhaling, you feel that some kind of ventilation is happening in your life. So, that can be one technique where you can use to manage strategies as a emotional regulation. Then second thing can be engage senses, focus on sight, as we know 5 senses, touch, taste and smell to ground yourself. So, there are multiple ways in which you can engage into senses that we will discuss in the further slides in a proper way. And third thing can be pause before reacting. Take a moment before responding impulsively to avoid rash actions. Sometimes that itself can cause some kind of emotional management, because of like every action, every reaction which is happening through our sentences, through words. So, when you are taking a pause to conceptualize the things within your brain, that itself can cause the impulsivity, that itself can reduce the impulsivity. So, try to understand that before talking, take a pause and articulate the words into proper sentences and communicate properly. That can reduce that impulsive reaction towards that particular stimuli or particular environment or that particular events or even to a persons. And these are the long term. In previous slide we have discussed about immediate strategies. Here we are trying to understand what can be the long term strategies for emotional regulations. For sustained emotional well-being, adopt long term strategies. This is very important. like having a proper self discipline, where you will be developing self awareness through journaling. Journaling, as you know, many of you were doing from the childhood onwards, writing the things in a day what you are doing and summarizing, conceptualizing, or even if not physically, if you are not writing anything, many of the people are having that ability or that adapted that kind of behavior. Before going to bed, you will be having a self examination of consciousness. Before going to bed, I will be thinking about what are the things which I have done today, and what are the pros of that incidents or that events, and what are the cons, and accordingly you will plan for the next day. And you will see many of these kind of patterns in our day to day life. So, identifying emotional patterns and triggers is very important while thinking about a long term strategies for emotional regulation. Developing self awareness, along with that we need to have a practicing self compassion. And in self awareness, again I need to tell that identify emotional patterns through journaling. What are the emotional patterns? Whether I am having always that kind of anxiety within me, or I am having that kind of avoidance, that kind of overreaction to the situations like anger outburst. Sometimes I feel that feeling of low. So, try to understand what type of self emotional patterns which I am contributing, which I am carrying throughout my life to manage this emotional regulation. Self compassion in the sense, treat yourself with kindness in difficult times. Sometimes you feel that no, I am out of control, the things has gone out of my control. So, try to understand that yourself with your kindness during difficult times. It can create automatically a kind of a resilience, where you feel that such kind of situations occurs, I will be able to manage my situations in an adaptive way. And finally, the third thing can be in long term strategies for emotional regulation is social support. Seek emotional validation from trusted sources. Even trusted sources can be like your friends, sometimes your family, or support groups provide emotional validation and helps reduce feelings of isolation. Sometimes if you are not able to seek proper emotional support, social support, that can lead into a psychological condition where you feel that I am feeling lonely or a kind of isolated from the group, from the society, from the family, from the company where you are working. So, try to have this kind of a long term emotional regulation for managing your stresses. And along with this, we try to understand what is the role of boundaries within this emotional regulation. That is very important. Most of our stresses occurs not by in our brain alone, it can be from the environment. If you are not having a proper boundaries, that can cause some kind of negativity, some kind of distress, some kind of problems every day in our life. So, try to understand establishing a clear boundaries is essential for protecting your emotional well-being. We know that boundaries, in last lecture we were trying to understand that boundaries are not walls, it is a kind of bridges to make your relationship more healthier. So, try to understand that in this way we need to have a proper boundaries which can help or define acceptable behavior from others and prevent emotional exploitation. Learning to say no without guilt and assertively communicating your needs can reduce stress and promote healthier relationships, ultimately decreasing that into emotional overwhelm. So, what is emotional protection? That is very important term which you need to remember and which you need to carry throughout your life, that boundaries prevent emotional exploitation. Sometimes people will exploit emotionally. You may be thinking about whether that person is exploiting my money, you are aware about that. If someone is taking more money from you or exploiting you, like making you in trouble, you are very systematically aware of that one and say no to them, and you will try to avoid the such kind of situations. So, is there any emotional exploitation? Some people always come to you and ask for a help, in that way you may be helping them, but whether it is causing some kind of emotional overwhelm within you. Suppose if you are hearing someone is always coming and telling you all the negatives, all those energies which is very negative in him, and you are spending lot of time and you are validating each and every emotion of your partner, your friend or your family member or your colleague who are working with you. So, that can have a kind of emotional exploitation. So, try to understand in this way whether I will be able to protect my emotional thing. Emotional protection is very important. So, keep a boundary where I need to, we were discussing that thing in earlier lecture, where the personal boundary is there, and along with that personal boundary, if someone is a married, then couple boundary is there, an outer layer. And the third boundary, where we call it as a family boundary, where it comes the parents, then the children or the partners or the immediate family members, those who are living within your family structure, especially your grandparents or uncle or aunts. And the outer layer can be considered as an extended family members or your society. It can also be considered as the club where you belongs to, your colleagues, your college or your work environment, even your neighborhood. All these things can be considered as a outer layer. We were discussing about the theories of Bronfenbrenner, that last lecture. You may be remembering about this thing and the different systems, how these systems can affect a person's life. So, that is why we try to impose or emphasize the need for emotional protection. Second one, assertiveness. We discussed it very clearly. How can you say assertive? I learned to say no without guilt. Some people always have difficulties in saying no, because they feel guilt. If I say no to them, whether they lose me, they will not talk to me. It can affect my personal life, it can affect my friend social interactions. So, learning to say no without guilt, that is very important. And the final thing is communicate needs, express your needs clearly to reduce stress, that is very important. Suppose if you are working in a company where you feel that your needs are not properly met, I am having difficulties in my office settings, I need to communicate my immediate boss, I need to tell to the hierarchies. When even if in my college or in my class, even in my lectures, if I am not getting a proper understanding, proper conceptualization, the lecture is not going to contribute properly to my academic need, I need to communicate properly, express your needs to reduce the stress. And this is very important, since we are discussing about mental health. Seeking professional help is very important. As we know from the childhood onwards, in our Indian culture or in every culture, helping others is a value. So, we try to help others. If someone is asking you for a help, you will definitely try to help if you can. You have the resources, you have the availability, you will definitely help. The same way, it is again a value. Seeking help is a value. Try to conceptualize, this is very important, basic thing in your life, seeking help. Suppose I am having a difficulty to manage my emotional distress, manage my personal things, I need to ask for help. That is also again a value. Therapists and counselors can provide tools and strategies tailored to individual needs. They are trained in mental health, they are trained in behaviors, they are trained in human behavior, human thought processes, human emotions. So, go for a therapies, cognitive behavior therapy and mindfulness based therapies are particularly effective in managing emotional responses and promoting mental well-being. Consider therapy, that is very important. Counseling and therapy, there are very peculiar differences. As you know that counseling, when you reach for a counseling sessions, that is you are having an immediate solution, you need some kind of help during a particular difficult situations in your life. But in therapy, for example, we discuss about cognitive behavior therapy, where there is a modality, there is a strategies where you undergo certain sessions in a already fixed manner, where you will be trained to challenge your distortions, errors in your thought processes, and accordingly you will try to adapt certain behaviors which is necessary for your life, and you will try to avoid some maladaptive behaviors, and also finally you will try to overcome a management skill over your emotions. So, this kind of therapy interventions can influence to overcome your emotional overwhelming. And some of the tailored strategies, therapists offer personalized tools for managing emotions. and as we discussed, CBT and mindfulness therapies improve emotional responses. So, in every institute nowadays, in every organization, there are psychological facilities available like a health facility. Make use of those kind of situations. Even in our institute, we have a counseling settings and we have a regular counseling sessions and single sessions, and everything can be detailed, understand in a proper consideration with the particular way in which you seek for help. So, we will try to understand how to manage these emotional regulations. We have seen short term goals, we have seen long term goals to overcome this emotional regulations. So, here along with the previous discussions, we will try to understand along with the causes, practice regulation techniques, that is very important. What are the emotional regulation techniques? We will deal with, we will discuss in detail, and how you can maintain healthy boundary and how can you make a proper professional help. These things we will discuss in the further. So, how can we mastering emotions? How to recognize emotional triggers, understand your emotional patterns, practice mindfulness and grounding techniques. In this picture, you have seen a person how he is managing a small trigger in his life. So, different ways, each person is having a different managing skills to the emotional triggers, and understanding is also different according to the person to person. My emotional trigger or emotional patterns, how I am understanding is different, while I am going to a professional and he may be having a different hypothesis about my emotional triggers, and how can we practice mindfulness and grounding techniques. These are emotional triggers. For example, what are emotional triggers? Emotional triggers are situations, words or people that provoke strong emotional responses. Sometimes people can create a strong emotional trigger in your life. Some situations can, some words. Suppose if you are talking with your friends for 1 hour, maybe within that 1 hour you may be feeling absolute comfort. Maybe after that, while that discussion is over, you are going to your home, going to your place, your private space, where you identify that within that 1 hour conversations, there were 3-4 sentences which is very hurtful. That triggering thought, that triggering words will be always be in your past, be in your brain. That will trigger you, it can cause emotional triggers. And recognize these triggers is the first step toward managing your reactions. They can stem from past experiences, unresolved issues or deep seated fears. Our body and mind is having a different mechanism. For physical body, if you are not doing anything, if you are simply sitting somewhere, it is a relaxation. Now, you all are doing physical relaxation, not doing anything, listening to my lectures and concentrating on your screen and understanding what I am telling. And it is a physical exercise, physical relaxation. Your body is not active, but in your brain you are concentrated. But different mechanism for the mind, when you are not doing anything, when your mind is not concentrated, and even multitasking, we people used to say that I am having a multitasking capacity, and it is a myth. There is nobody can do multitasking. Your brain can concentrate only one thing at a one time. That is very important to remember. And when you are not doing anything, when you are not concentrated on anything, your mind will be always thinking about the past triggers. When you are not concentrated, not particularly oriented towards anything, mind will be always anxious about the future. It can cause the triggers. So, try to understand that past experiences or unresolved issues or deep seated fears can cause emotional triggers. And normally, there are common triggers include criticism from others or from the company, from the boss, from the faculties, or lack of control, sometimes the rejection, love relationship, or from the job interview, and feeling overwhelmed. And identifying your triggers helps you prepare and respond more effectively. It is important to remember that triggers are unique to each individual. That is also very important. As you know that, suppose you got a fight with your colleagues or with your friends, and your immediate supervisor may be calling you for a convenient or a discussion to rejoining. So, in that situations, sometimes there will be a firing. So, each person involved in that particular problem will be having a different way of understanding, different way of conceptualizing that particular firing incident. Some people may feel that this firing was very uncomfortable, I was not able to manage, while again those persons, those who are having feeling very emotionally overwhelmed, they feel that immediate boss always seeing him as a fearful incident. Well, try to avoid that incident, again meeting with that particular person. The other party during that firing process itself maybe started to laugh. Maybe immediately after getting out of that room, that meeting, they started to become normal, they behave like very happy, nothing to worry about that particular situation. Some may hold on that particular emotion, hold on that particular incident's effect, impact throughout their life, but some people they do not make it is that much as serious. So, that is why we used to say that it is important to remember triggers are unique to each person. Tools for identification, that is very important, as we discuss. Keep a journal for your emotional reactions to identify patterns and triggers, and also reflect on past experience to find common threads. And how you can understand emotional patterns, recognizing recurring emotional responses. Begin by noticing if you often react in similar way to different situations. Are you prone to anger, sadness or anxiety? Recognizing these patterns is crucial for understanding the underlying causes. And second thing can be tracking emotional reactions. Use reflection to track your emotional reactions. Journaling, meditation and mindfulness exercises can help you become more aware of your feelings and how they manifest in your body and behavior. Differentiating reaction is another important thing. Learn to differentiate between reactions based on past experiences and those rooted in the present. Understanding the sources of your own emotions will help you to respond more appropriately and avoid unnecessary distress. Here we try to understand what is mindfulness. Simple way, mindfulness is staying in present. It is the practice of staying fully engaged in the present moment. It involves focusing on your current experience without judgment, allowing you to observe your thoughts and feelings as they arise. Just to be observed, even laying down on the in front of your garden, looking at the skies, how they are moving. Just observe, nothing around, surroundings should not affect you, and it is a kind of being in a present. Non-judgmental awareness is very important. A key aspect of mindfulness is maintaining a non-judgmental awareness of your thoughts and emotions. For example, you are observing a person in front of you. You may be looking at how his eyes are moving, how his face, lips are moving, without judgment. See that you will be concentrating only on those particular person's eyes and lips, and this means observing your feelings without labeling them as a good or bad, right or wrong, even your own emotions. Suppose I am having anger outburst, what I am having at this particular moment, how I will be able to manage this, and what are the emotions, whether I will be able to accept it as it is. And again benefits, some of the benefits of mindfulness. I am not going in detail to explain what is mindfulness, because in this particular topic itself there is a particular module or a lecture about mindfulness is there, which you already or you are going to listen in future other speakers lectures. So, there you will get a proper understanding how to practice mindfulness, how it is useful for your daily mental well-being. And benefits can reduce stress, it can improve focus and enhance emotional regulation. And this is very important to remember what are the grounding techniques for emotional stability. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Use your senses, ground yourself by naming 5 things you see. You may be able to see surroundings. What are the 5 things which I can see? 4 things you can touch, nearby surroundings, What are the 4 things immediately I can touch? Then 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That is very important. This exercise redirects you for focus to the present and alleviating anxiety. Visualization is another thing, imagining a safe or a calming place. Suppose I am sitting in a nearby a river. Close your eyes and visualize every detail of that environment. This mental escape can provide comfort and reduce emotional intensity, promoting a sense of security. Then finally, progressive muscle relaxation, systematically tense and release different muscle groups in your body. These techniques help release physical tension, which often accompanies emotional distress. Jacobson is the one who developed this progressive muscle relaxation. You will be able to understand or practice this JPMR, Jacobson progressive muscle relaxation, in any YouTube or in Google. You will be simply typing it JPMR script, you will be able to download it properly, in what way you need to practice a progressive muscle relaxation. There are different like colloquial linguistical varieties of languages. There are a lot of demos which is available in YouTube, where you will be able to understand progressive muscle relaxation. And how you can integrate these techniques of self-compassion, consistent practice and seeking support. As we discussed, consistent practice is very important to manage emotional overwhelm. Regular practice of mindfulness and grounding technique is key in developing emotional resilience. Sometimes people will feel that if I am going for seeking a help, I attended a counseling session, they have talked to me about mindfulness training, they have teach me about grounding technique, they have like already advised me to practice progressive muscle relaxation. Unless and until if I am not regularly consistently practicing this thing, it will not have any kind of repercussions in my personal life. The way in which I will be managing my distress will not change. So, regular practice is very important. Dedicate time each day to these exercises to build a strong foundation of emotional stability. Then second thing can be self-compassion. Self-compassion means be kind and understanding to yourself as you navigate your emotions. Recognize that everyone experiences challenges and self-compassion is essential for maintaining emotional well-being. Third thing, as we discussed, seeking support is very important. Do not hesitate to seek support from friends, as we discussed, your family, or it can be mental health professionals. Sharing your experiences and receiving guidance can provide valuable insights and help you manage your emotions more effectively. So, we discussed about how you can manage emotional triggers, how you can overcome the emotional overwhelm, how you can manage the stress, and what are the ways in which you will be able to overcome the emotional stress. So, here in this particular topic we will discuss in deep and understand what are the benefits when you are having a mastery over your emotions. What are the benefits of emotional mastery? One thing can be improved relationship. Great emotional control leads to healthier and more fulfilling relationship. As you know that many of the breakups, even the separation, divorce, most of these things happens when there is no balance, there is no emotional control. People used to tell that while coming for a sessions, the partner is not having a proper emotional control, using aggressive words, verbal abuses, physical aggressions. All these things comes out of verbal or out of control of your emotions. So, if you are having a proper emotional mastery, it can improve automatically your relationship. Second thing can be enhanced mental health. Mastering emotions reduce stress, it can reduce anxiety and it can lead lesser chances for a depression. So, that is very important to remember. And finally, it can increase the resilience, the capacity to cope with your difficult situations can improve, developing emotional resilience, and it enables you to bounce back from challenges and setbacks. This strengthens your ability to cope with adversity and maintain a positive outlook improving your mental toughness. So, you may be aware about resilience. So, how you can build emotional resilience? That is also very important. Building emotional resilience. Practical strategies to manage those challenges, strengthen your emotional well-being and foster healthier relationship. Explore understanding emotional resilience, setting healthy boundaries and utilizing expressive techniques for emotional release. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, equipping yourself with the tools needed to thrive in the face of adversity. And what exactly emotional resilience? It's an ability to recover quickly from difficulties. It is about bouncing back from setbacks, stress and emotional distress, emerging stronger than before. And what it is not, that is also very important to understand what is not the emotional resilience. It is not about avoiding emotions or pretending everything is always okay. Second thing can be, it involves acknowledging and adapting to difficult emotions effectively, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and grace. And these are some of the strategies where you try to cultivate, strengthen your resilience. One is to cultivate optimism. Reframing negative thoughts into positive ones can shift your perspective and improve your outlook in life. Focus on the good things even when facing challenges. While I was discussing about converting your negative thoughts into positive thoughts, be realistic. In the sense, you may be having neutral terms where you will be able to identify that this is going to happen. So, you may have both evidences which support this particular incidents, evidences which does not support this particular incidents. So, try to have a balancing thought where you will be challenging your negative patterns in a linguistical way. It means you are having both evidences supporting, evidences does not support. So, try to neutralize, sometimes, maybe, perhaps use this kind of neutral terms into for the negative and balance it. So, the emotions will be balanced 50-50%. So, second thing can be practice gratitude and self care. Take care of yourself physically and emotionally. Nourish your body, mind and spirit through activities that bring you joy, relaxation and rejuvenation. That is very important. So, practicing gratitude, gratitude towards yourself, gratitude towards your very close ones, your nature, your belongingness, your dear and near ones, your family, that is very important. Self care, as we discussed, there are a lot of ways in which you can think about yourself, rejuvenate yourself, you can improve your joy, happiness, relaxation. And finally, strengthen support system. Building and maintaining strong social connections is crucial for emotional well-being. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who uplift and encourage you. So, what is the psychological necessity of personal limits? That is very important to remember in this particular lecture. Psychological necessity of personal limits. As we know that we all are aware about, I need a personal space, I need a personal limit. So, affective depletion is the one condition where implementing personal boundaries mitigates affective exhaustion and emotional dysregulation by preserving psychological resources and preventing empathic overextensions. That is very important. So, if you are not able to implement that personal boundaries, that can cause affective exhaustion and emotional dysregulation. And second thing can be relational homeostasis. Boundaries serve as a regulatory mechanism within the interpersonal dynamics, facilitating equitable emotional reciprocity and safeguarding individual autonomy within dyadic or group context. That is also very important, where you keep a balances, relational homeostasis. Third thing can be cognitive emotional regulation. Establishing intrapersonal limits enhances self-efficacy and locus of control, thereby attenuating stress responses and fostering psychological resilience through the management of external demands and role expectations. And what are the ways in which you can establish emotional limits? One is to cultivate the skill of refusal. Turn down to overwhelming requests that stretch your time and energy too thin. Protect yourself from burnout and honoring your emotional capacity. Refusal skill is very important. Second thing can be voice your needs. Articulate your emotional requirement openly and respectfully. Clear and communication creates space for deeper understanding and healthier relationships. Thirdly, steer clear of negativity. Minimize contact with the individuals who drain your emotional energy or foster negativity. Prioritizing your peace is a key to maintaining emotional balance. While interacting with some people, you may feel that, oh, initially it was good for 5 minutes. Later, even if you continue with the particular person for interacting for 30 minutes, he will be giving lot of inputs which is negative, which can give you more negativity about the people surroundings, particular situations, particular organizations. So, keep away, steer clear of negativity, that is very important. And some of these are the creative outlets for emotional release. One can be writing. Writing includes, as we discussed, journaling can be one thing, poetry can be the other thing, or letter writing. All these allow you to express your emotions in a safe and a private space. The second thing can be art therapy, kind of drawing, painting, sculpting. These provide visual and tactile ways to explore and process your feelings. And physical movement can be considered as a third one to creative outlets. In this include dance, exercise, different varieties of sports activities. These release pent up emotions and promote physical and mental well-being. And some of these are the expressive techniques for emotional release. One can be mindfulness, as we discussed. There are meditation or JPMR or the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 technique, as we discussed, and emotional regulations. These two expressive techniques help you to release your emotions. That is very important. A kind of a ventilation where you take time for yourself, breathe and accept things as they are. The path to a better self begin with awareness and acceptance. These are some of the practical tips of the entire lecture which we discussed up to now. One is to practice. Without practice, you will not be able to regulate your emotions. You will not be able to manage your stress. So, practice is very important, and not only the practice, consistent regular practice of mindfulness and emotional regulation techniques enhances self-awareness and promote emotional well-being. Second thing can be identify triggers, that is very important, as we discussed. Recognizing and understanding your emotional triggers allows you to respond more effectively in challenging situations, fostering resilience and capability. Finally, challenge. Identify one emotional trigger and apply a learned strategy to manage it effectively. You can consider this as a challenge. I will take today one emotional trigger and apply a learned strategy to manage it effectively. Celebrate your progress and continue nurturing your emotional well-being. In conclusion, again, recognize your triggers, seek support, practice mindfulness. And these are some of the references where you will get a deep understanding about what is emotional regulation and how it is affecting your personal life. If someone is interested to read more further about cognitive behavior therapy, you will be able to have these books which is available freely in internet, and emotion related regulation, sharpening the definitions, many of the books are available. Go to these books, and thanks for listening to this particular topic, which is very interesting, and we will go further in detail how you can enhance the emotional skills in the coming lecture. Thank you.